Thomas and Percy are good
Thomas, Percy, and the Dragon. Oh, I remember this one. Yes, I do.
One evening he was dozing happily, but Percy wanted to talk. Wake up, Thomas. Are you dreaming about the time you thought I was a ghost? Certainly not. Anyway, I was only pretending to be scared. I knew it was you, really. Percy
Yeah,
went on
right.
teasing him.
I remember that episode too. Ghost
tonight.
Train.
Why?
Yep.
Asked Thomas. I quite like the dark. Oh, really? Exclaimed Percy. I am surprised. I always thought you were afraid of the dark. I wonder why. Thomas decided to say nothing and went to sleep instead. Next day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. I would like you to go to the harbor tonight. You have to collect something rather unusual.
Oh?
What sort of something? Asked Thomas. Wait and see, replied Sir Topham Hatt. Meanwhile, Percy was moving freight cars into a siding. Henry arrived with his goods train. The signalman changed the switches, and Percy waited on the siding until Henry had steamed by. Then there was trouble. The switches are jammed, called the
Oh, come on, really?
Percy, the workmen will have to mend them in the morning. It's too late now.
Rats.
Said Percy's driver. I'm sorry, Percy, but you'll have to stay here for the night. Where are you going? Asked Percy. Home for tea, replied the fireman. Percy was speechless. He watched as the other engines went home to the shed. Nighttime came, and Percy began to feel very lonely. Oh dear, he murmured. It's very dark.
If Pinkie Pie were there, it'd be a whole lot. Whoa!
Oh, what's that? It was only an owl.
Oh, an
Percy
owl.
didn't realize this.
If Pinkie Pie were there, she'd make him feel,
you
know, she'd keep him company.
Thomas
Of
was waiting
course.
for his mysterious load at the harbor. Suddenly, there it was.
Yikes! Oh, my!
Cinders and ashes, cried Thomas. It's a dragon.
It's a
Don't worry,
Chinese
laughed the driver.
dragon.
This dragon is
From
made of paper.
China?
It's for the
Yep.
carnival tomorrow.
They use that for Chinese
Workmen
New
lifted the
Year
dragon onto
back in
Thomas's
China.
low loader and put lights all around it
Oh.
for protection. Then Thomas set off into the misty night.
I want to see that again. The Chinese dragon does need to come back. Just for all time's sake.
Percy was asleep on his siding and had no idea that Thomas was approaching him.
Uh-oh. I'm pretty sure this scared little kids too.
Percy woke up with a start.
I'm assuming.
Help! Cried Percy. I'm not going to open my eyes until my driver comes.
Poor Percy.
Next morning, the switches were mended and Percy puffed back to the junction. Gordon
I
was
bet he
just
never
about to
slept
leave
at all
with his
after
friend.
that.
You'll never guess what I saw last night. Gordon was in no mood for puzzles. I'm a busy engine. I don't have time for your games. I seen a huge dragon. It was covered in lights. Gordon snorted. You've been in the sun too long. Your dome has cracked.
How rude.
When the other engines heard the news, they laughed too.
Now that isn't really...
Look out, Percy, chuckled James. Or the dragon may gobble you up.
Now normally Henry wouldn't laugh at something like this.
Maybe I did imagine the dragon after all.
Oh, I don't think so,
Percy
Percy.
soon found out that he hadn't.
Yikes!
Help! Save me! Cried Percy. It's all right, whistled Thomas. He explained about the carnival. By the way, how was your night out? Percy decided to tell Thomas the truth.
Good.
Well, Percy, said
It's always
Thomas,
good to be honest
maybe we
and tell
do
your
get
friends when you're
sometimes.
scared or not.
But if we're not afraid to tell each
That's
other,
true.
then that means we're quite brave, too.
Yeah. Well, I like that episode too. It's one of the classics. I wonder if, I'm hoping we might see the Chinese dragon again. I hope so. Oh, by the way, our next story is Thomas Saves the Day. Oh, I remember this one like the back of my
Catch his train. Hello, he always
Well,
said
then
to
again,
Thomas. Don't
we
let the
all
silly
do
freight
too.
cars tease you. Remember, you have an
Because
important
this
job as a
episode
special
also
helper in the
happened
train
in The
yard.
Adventure Begins, during Thomas's first days on Sodor. Yep,
There were lots of freight cars, and Thomas worked very hard pushing and pulling them into place. There was also
the freight cars look kind of goofy
two
here.
strange things his driver called cranes. That's the breakdown train, he told Thomas.
Yeah, that was Judy and Jerome
The
before they
cranes
got
are for lifting
faces
heavy
and
things like
personalities.
engines and coaches and
That's
freight cars.
right. I'm glad
One
they
day,
got a second
Thomas was
chance
in the
to
yard.
work hard and be
Suddenly, he heard an engine
useful.
whistle. Help! Help! A freight train came rushing
And back
through
then,
much
James
too
wasn't
fast.
red. He was black.
He was
We
frightened.
know.
His brake blocks were on fire. They're pushing me! They're pushing me! He panted. On,
And in The
on,
Adventure
laughed the freight
Begins,
car. Still
they made it
whistling,
much,
"Help!
much
Help!"
more epic
Poor James
because
disappeared.
Thomas was chasing him, trying to save
I'd
him,
like to teach
which
those
of course
freight
he
cars a
fails
lesson,
at.
said Thomas the Tank Engine. Soon came the alarm. James is off the line. The breakdown train. Quickly!
Yeah, go, Thomas,
was
go!
coupled on, and off they went.
Speaking of The Adventure Begins, do you think they ever will make a follow-up of it? Like a sequel to it? Where Percy gets introduced? Maybe, Lemon Hearts. We never know.
James isn't hurt.
I hope so, because I loved that movie so much.
James's
Oh,
driver and firemen were feeling him all over to see if
I
he
remember
was hurt.
how upset Rarity was when she saw James crash. Me
Never
too.
mind, James, they
We
said.
could hear her
It was those
halfway
silly freight
across
cars and your
Equestria.
old wooden brakes that caused the accident. Thomas pushed the breakdown train alongside. Then he pulled away the unhurt freight cars. Oh dear, they groaned. Serves you right, puffed Thomas.
I agree. This is on them.
He was
Those
hard at work,
troublesome
puffing
trucks.
backwards and forwards all afternoon. This'll teach you a lesson, he told the freight cars. And they answered, yes,
But back
it
then
will.
they were
Yes, it
called
will."
freight cars instead of troublesome trucks. That
They
is
left the
until
broken car. Then
season
with two cranes, they put James back on the
6,
rail.
after Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Oh. Did they ever bring back this theme? Can't really remember. Easy does it, and back on the rails.
He tried to move, but he couldn't. So Thomas helped him back to the shed.
Well, of course, once an engine crashes, they can't just move on their own again. Of course.
Sir Topham Hatt was waiting anxiously for them. Well, Thomas, he said, I've heard all about it, and I'm very pleased with you. You're a really useful engine. James shall have some proper brakes and a new coat of paint, and you shall have a branch line all to yourself. Oh, thank you, sir, said Thomas.
That was the proudest moment
Now
of Thomas's
Thomas is as
life.
happy as can be. He has a branch line and two coaches called Annie and Clarabelle. He puffs proudly
But in The
backwards
Adventure
and forwards
Begins,
with them all day.
Annie and Clarabelle were James's coaches to begin with. I'm glad they had that done in The Adventure
He was
Begins.
never lonely.
And they
Edward
gave
Henry
him,
stopped
you
quite
know.
often and tell him the news. Gordon is always in a hurry, but never forgets to say, "Boop, boop," and Thomas always whistles, beep, beep, in return.
Another great story. Though I still prefer The Adventure Begins over... But again, I also love the classics. Me too. The classics are always the best. What's the next story, Twilight? Well, our next story is